So did the recent crypto buyers just get trapped? That's exactly what we'll discuss in today's show. We'll talk about the trade opportunity that I'm looking at. It was planned out ahead of time. Yesterday we spoke about price coming into low time frame resistance, possibly sweeping the Monday range high, moving all the way back down to the Monday range low, which lines up with the CME gap, and that's where the long trade would set up. So we said we had been long over the course of the weekend. Actually, since last week, we planned all of that out. We longed that over Saturday. I updated you both on YouTube as well as in the Whale Room Discord. And then we said yesterday, coming into resistance on the low time frame, very likely to reject, and that rejection could lead to a sweep of Monday high. And that's basically where we're at. That's what we've seen. And consequently, you are seeing some sizable pullbacks, right? Over here on things like Zcash coming down over 20% over there. Filecoin double digits as well. A lot of double-digit losses with one or two gainers. Uniswap, right? We'll talk about that. That's also been one of the trades that Whale Room got into with some massive profits. They've had a fee change that's occurred over there, which has fundamentally shifted things a bit for the token. So we'll have a look at all these different things. There's been a lot of different things going on within the market, a lot of low time frame trades. And that's really what we've been positioned into, is taking those low time frame trades. I want to first look at the TradFi markets, the equities, commodities, where things are at, because they're approaching our areas of interest, right? Yesterday we spoke about gold and silver. Possibly, no guarantees in life, but we'll see what happens over here. If we do start to sense any sort of weakness coming into this region, we will be looking for a short trade. So for those of you that are not yet geared up and prepped from a platform perspective, well, get ready, right? We're going to be taking these trades over here on BTCC. They do give you a big sign-up bonus over there. That is gold. Put it on your watch list. I want to be very careful to not just simply blindly execute into this trade without getting weakness that's shown over here. Otherwise, you know, for all we know, this could be a high-low and you're going to rally up higher. But there are TD sequential tops. That's the Tom DeMark 9-count tops on multiple different time frames for both silver and gold. And that's the reason or rationale for why I want to look for the short trade over there, is I do believe that this year you'll see a major top. Whether that comes, well, we don't have that much time left, right? It's actually only about 7 weeks left, 7 or 8 weeks left for the entire year, and the year's come to its end. So I believe that you will see that major top occur this year, and therefore I want to look for that short trade. And there it is on silver. This is what we want to see. So far you've run through the 50% level. You've tagged exactly into the golden pocket. So I'd wait for a little bit of a rounding over here. Maybe it spikes up one more time into that 786. Of course, the higher up it spikes, the closer we can get our stop loss to, or our entry to the invalidation, which is where our stop loss would be above these highs, right? So we'll wait for things to turn. Just get ready. That's all I'm saying. Make sure that you have your account set up. There's a link in the description below. There's multiple places to trade these commodities, forex pairs. One of the places I'm looking at is on BTCC, because they give us a big discount on fees, 40% off, and that makes a big difference over time. And you're getting a 10% sign-up deposit bonus. Quick look at the S&P 500. See what that's done over here. There we go. Let's just let that load up. So this is still looking good. No real panic or stress over here, as long as it consolidates back above this level, which is, it has recovered that 6,750 to 6,800. I'm giving you about a $50 range that needs to be defended over there. So I'm not going to waste too much time with these. We'll just quickly check on MicroStrategy coming down again, right? So we said maybe it could run up as high as our original entry. Feel free to take some profits over there, but we'll check on this one daily since we have a position open. So our traders in Whale Room are absolutely crushing it on the low time frame trades. Scalp trade over here on gold. Beautiful, full profits, almost zero drawdown on that trade from Farouk, one of our traders in Whale Room. So big congrats. And the stock market has a lot of interesting plays, right? Look at this. SanDisk Corporation. This is just to give you some kind of an idea of, random things like hard drive stocks, putting in massive gains, right? From 40 all the way up to 268. These are crypto-like gains. And imagine some people are buying file storage things in crypto like 𝗏𝗏 and Filecoin, which have amounted to absolutely nothing, and you probably lost a lot of money if you bought those. But look at this. SanDisk Corporation's big rally over there. So there is opportunity over there in the equities, and we have active traders in Whale Room dedicated to that. For those of you interested, if you're in there in Whale Room already, make sure that you open up those sections for those trades. So BTC futures over here, this was the trade setup that we're looking at. Price sweeping the Monday high. We wanted that range to be established. We got the move up. You swept the high. Now we're looking at the move down into this low region over here. There's that gap, that semi-gap. It's not a huge one, but nevertheless, it's relevant. And that comes in at 104,365. So looking for that move down below the Monday low, that would open up the long trade opportunity. And there's multiple different levels of confluence that line up with that, which I'll show you when we get onto the hourly chart for the spot. But just quickly giving you a highlight of essentially what we're planning. So yes, I guess yesterday's buyers would have been trapped. I think that you'll experience a little bit of drawdown. It just depends on how leveraged you are. I actually saw in the newsroom over here, there's here we have it, James Wynn. Again, liquidated, guys. Again, this is all that you have to do is just be careful with leverage, right? So after closing one winning trade, he opened another BTC short, 40x leverage, and he's been liquidated again, losing another $100,000. Now his P&L is down $22 million, and this is from someone that was once up $100 million. Look, I'm not trying to bash the guy or anything. I'm just saying that, you need to identify if you have a gambling problem, right? There's a difference between trading and gambling. And if you're over leveraged, like you're gambling at that point, right? So just be careful out there. Look, maybe he has $1 gazillion and I'm completely misinformed and that's 1% risk for him, but I highly doubt it. I don't think that's the case. I think that you just need to be careful and don't have a gambling issue if you go full tilt. We spoke about that yesterday. Recognize that you're going full tilt and take a break. That's it. Take a break, have a Kit Kat, right? Snack on that Kit Kat and take a break. I don't know if that's a joke that works for the rest of the world, but in South Africa, that's the slogan for Kit Kat, take a break. Anyways, let's move on. So just moving through over here, we have taken the short trades in 𝗬𝗏 again off of this Monday high. Josh banking 600%, 1,259%, one of our coaches and traders over there. We also shorted 𝗦𝗏. Very, very, very good trade. They got delisted from Binance. So consequently, that's one of the reasons for the drops over there. USDT, I spoke about yesterday, coming into this key support over here on the 4-hourly time frame, which does have moving average support as well, and a trend line coming into play. Touch point 1, 2, 3 times, oftentimes bounces price. And this is where things get interesting, right? Because this you need to line this up with context in relation to the Monday range trade plan over here. Because if this rallies, of course, to the top side, the Monday range trade is not going to play out. So if you see USDT dominance running all the way back to the target, because this is the measured move target off of this breakout of the ascending triangle, would take you to 5.87%. If you run it all the way up, I'm obviously hopeful that this will just run up, put in another lower high, and then eventually break down, because that means that the Monday range trade would play out. You'd come into the low. That would be the buy the dip scenario. Price would rally higher, and that has implications to turn some of the high time frames up, or let's say the medium time frames. And I want to talk about that. The medium time frame is very important. That's going to be the daily chart, and I'll show you what you need to be paying attention to. So I'm looking to take this trade. I'm, of course, never going to blindly just long something. We're going to assess as price comes into that key level, and hopefully we can take this trade live on the Whale Room Zoom later on today. You guys have the schedule on the website over here, by the way. If you just go through over there, you'll see you have your calendar for when each of us do go live for those sessions, because we get asked that question a lot, right? So hopefully we get that rejection on the USDT chart. Hopefully then Bitcoin sweeps into the low over here at 104,365, and we can start to maybe plan a little bit of a long trade setup. Don't take this as gospel, but I'm imagining it's probably going to look something like this. That's going to give us the sweep, the reclaim, stops go below wherever those swing lows are on the low time frames, like the 15-minute time frame, and then hopefully we can trade that back to the Monday high, and possibly even for a bigger breakout, much higher, maybe even, who knows, all-time highs, if things get really, really crazy with all the economic data that's going to be coming out. Remember, it's been a government shutdown, so a lot of this data, if you go on the Whale Trade's website and you scroll to the bottom, a lot of this hasn't been actually released, right? They just basically sweep it under the rug for another day. But if the government shutdown comes to its end, which seems to be the case, then all this data is going to start to come back, and that's going to create volatility. You need to be careful over there, of course, because that goes both ways. Double-edged sword. It could be up, it could be down. And anyone that doesn't like or know trading will get very upset with that statement. Actually, go vote, by the way, vote before I forget. Go and vote over there. Let me know, will BTC hit an all-time high in 2025? Yes or no? Yes or no? Let me know over there. I'm going to click yes just for the sake of optimism over here. Though that's not necessarily what I think, but I want to see the results. So you guys have over here, we have, let's go back, where are we? 63% of you yes, 37% of you say no. I'll show you what needs to happen for that to actually take place, the levels that must be reclaimed on the daily, and the change in sentiment that you need to see. So one of the things we want to study, firstly, almost 50-50, almost negative, no skew over there. The skew's only negative 1.79. It's nothing. It's pretty neutral within the market. When the good news comes out, you want to do what's called reading the tape. Reading the tape means you assess, how is price doing? What is price doing? When positive news comes out, you expect that price should move positively, right? But if the positive news comes out and the price is stalling with a rise in sentiment, meaning that the sentiment becomes optimistic, people become optimistic on price, and there's good news that comes out, but price is not really recovering or reclaiming key levels. That's a very strong warning sign, and it's reading the tape telling you that, well, the market is right? You don't go against the market. Everyone always thinks that they're right and the market's wrong. The market is 100% of the time right. You're wrong. If it goes against you, it's because you're wrong, not the market that's wrong. You want to make money in alignment with the direction that the market is taking. And you need to dissociate your emotions from that as a trader or investor. So how do we look at this, right? I'm going to show you on the daily time frame, but price coming into key levels with sentiment picking up, but not recovering those key levels with a drop-off in volume is going to be one of your biggest warning signals. And I think that we'll get a bit of an answer within the next week or so, and it lines up with all these, government shutdowns coming to its end, tariff things, all sorts of stuff which we speculated and planned for weeks. You can see over here, the 24-hour liquidations are also relatively low. The good news is the daily exchange volume with the 7-day moving average still is rising towards the upside. I will need to refresh this when the data comes out in about 1 or 2 hours to see if that's still the case. We saw enough for the ETF outflows. We use that as a counter signal. When you get the biggest inflow days, we look to go short or take profits. When we get massive consecutive outflow days or weeks, we look to go, well, potentially long. We look for a bottoming process to form. So is there anything else on here? I think that's the main stuff. Okay, we got that covered, right? Now let's line that up with the price chart. Right now, the weekly is struggling. We just want to see the weekly. It's going to take a while. It's going to take about 3 or 4 weeks. But if you're bullish, you want to see that rounding out over there. And of course, you don't want to come back below that wick over there. I think that the daily is going to give you the most valuable information. But just quick look over here again. We've spoken a lot about this. We need that RSI to start to pick up over here on the weekly very, very, very soon. And also you have the next week is going to be, the rest of this week basically is vitally important, because if this week is bearish and you don't recover certain key levels, well, then your 3-week MACD is going to have crossed towards the downside with a bearish cross. And I think this will be very significant. We've seen prolonged periods of drawdown and even cycle tops occur off of these 3-week MACDs, which then bleed over into the monthly, which will then also cross towards the downside, right? So I think that the daily is going to be one of your most important charts to focus on. And this is what I'm looking at for the daily. It is a downtrend right now, low lows and lower highs. Some may argue we're just range bound. Well, that's fine. If it is range bound, the level to reclaim is 108,388. That will start to look good. That's your yellow line. That is where your previous SR flip regions occurred. Resistance, 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 support, runs up, support, bounces, fails. So if you're coming back to test that as resistance now, of course, that's not going to be a good thing. We can also look at the high volume area points of control. So as per this range, and I said this is where things started to get really exciting. You got that big move up. You held over here. So I've marked out the fixed volume profile based off of that low that occurred and in November, which led into an exciting period within the market. So over the last 1 year, that's 1 year's worth of data, the points of control is coming in at about $96,000. So if you do reject over here, that does basically become the next buy the dip opportunity. Alternatively, you need to recover certain key areas. And you can see if we zoom in over here, we highlighted this just yesterday, right? We spoke about it. We said, well, there's 2 levels that we're looking at. One is the golden pocket, which you can see is exactly where we rejected from. Number 2 is going to be that 𝗏𝗏 retracement, which is coming in at the order block that led to the breakdown. That's 108,000 to 109.8. We needed to assess, the strength of the rally into that level and the sentiment. So right now, the sentiment hasn't even really picked up, but the volume has still been dropping. Look at these green volume bars. So they're still lower than these volume bars that we had over here. A little bit higher than what we had back there, which is one good sign, but it's not high enough, right? Basically, it tells you that if you want to wait for safety and have a confirmed reversal, basically that probably occurs above this zone over here, 111,500, and then you can look to buy the pullback. If we get that, bullish, right? Everything will look good, and you'll probably have continuation high, and that increases the chances of making all-time highs. But right now, this is definitely a rejective zone, especially if you're a trend trader and you believe that the trend is your friend, which I encourage you to believe in. That's going to be the best thing for your pocket, right? Which is lower highs and lower lows. There it is, right? Lower highs and lower lows. Lower highs, so therefore this would probably be your next lower high coming from this region. So I don't necessarily think now's the time to ape into the market, but we have been looking for shorter term trades. If the bullish case is going to play out, it's going to line up over here with the 15-minute time frame chart and the pullback into the CME gap, sweeping the Monday low, and then you should reclaim that Monday low, and that opens up the long trade, which then creates a little bit more of an opportunity for the daily to recover above this 111K region, right? It's price labeled. Like, I make it easy for you. It's price labeled. That's where you want to get above. And you want to see volume come into the market as you try and overcome that zone. Now, what I find very interesting is that the rejective level over here, which we also spoke about yesterday, happens to line up where the death cross is coming into play. And the death cross is predicted to occur by Thursday at this rate. Now, everyone, in my opinion, interprets the death cross or golden crosses the other way around, right? They say that, when you get a death cross, it's incredibly bullish because price just rallies, right? Price rallies. And here you go, death cross, price rallies, death cross, price rallies, death cross, price rallies, and therefore price will rally and rally into all-time highs. But what I say is you got to use context when you look at these things. The context is you have to consider where you are within the timing cycle. Now, death crosses and golden crosses, either or, both act like a magnet, right? For example, here you got a golden cross, price was trading at the top. There it is, price was trading at the top. And then price pulls back, not always into the cross at the point that the cross happens, but at some point soon, you'll pull back after that to test those moving averages as support. And if they hold as support, then good, you expect price to go higher. Well, the inverse is true. If you get this death cross over here, you would expect that price can rally into that death cross, but that death cross is still going to be a major resistance area. And if it tests as resistance, well, then the downtrend continues, because that's all that is. It's showing you the EMAs are rolling over, which means that bears have been in control, and that's what's rolling those EMAs over. And if you can't get back above that and hold those, well, then ultimately the downtrend continues and all lines up with this chart on the daily. So pay attention to these charts. So let's just quickly wrap things up over here and make it a little bit easier for you to understand so we don't confuse you. There's short-term trading and there's medium time frame trading, and then there's really high time frame long-term investing. Now, let's start off with the low time frame. The low time frame, we said short off of the Monday high, and the traders in Whale Room did it, right? They absolutely nailed that. Next, we're looking for the long trade, which is not that far away. There's an opportunity for a long trade. That's only about 1% down. That should happen maybe as soon as today. So if you find strength coming into the market around that sweep of the Monday low, then you are low time frame bullish. High time frame or medium time frame on the daily, you are not bullish. You are neutral to possibly bearish. Okay, so how would that play out? Let's line these things up together. How would that play out? That would play out like this. So we got the low time frame. We said low time frame bullish. Okay, I hope I'm not losing anyone. We said low time frame bullish, right? Because you're looking for the long trade off of the sweep. You're going to long that up, back above the Monday high, and then you're going to assess what happens with the death cross. If you come into the death cross as resistance, you're going to close your short-term long trades, and you're basically going to flip short. That's it. That's what you're going to do. Or you're just going to take your profits into USDT off of the long trade, and you're going to sit on your hands and you're going to wait for better confirmation. Now, better confirmation would either be the rejection from this level, and meaning you're going to go lower to new lows and then you try buy again, or it's going to move through with strength and flip into support and recapture the key level, and then you can start to go in again on spot. That's basically the way that I'd play it. If you don't understand that, there's a button over here. If you just go through to the top and you just click on that, it will take you off the video, and then you can go and find another channel. If you do understand, just click the like button over here and let me know your thoughts on that, right? I hope that helps. Let's move on. So that's essentially the plan. I'm trying to guide you each step of the way. Now, interestingly, if you look at the order books in terms of where the stop losses are placed and all the liquidations, they've been absolutely wiped. Look at that. They've been absolutely wiped, right? You can go on multiple different time frames over here. So there's very low liquidity, which shows you that anyone can step in now and move the market. 12-hour, everything got taken over there. Let's go on the 24-hour, everything is taken, right? Let's go into the weekly over here. Basically, everything is taken, right? You are building up a little bit on the downside, or just under 100K, but it's nothing of significance. So we don't have much of an edge when we utilize this right now. What we can do is zoom in a little bit deeper with high-level data. We go on to Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, SUI, Sonic, and Asta, and we look at the deltas, which shows us where are the majority of the traders that are in the market on Binance, which is one of the biggest traders that are out there. And it's positive, 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 slightly negative, and slightly negative, which means most traders are still long, and therefore maybe they're going to get stopped out under that Monday range trade, right? Under the Monday low. That's what I'd be looking out for. And then we'll assess as you come down here, go back onto these charts and have a look, for example, where the liquidity is starting to form. Maybe buyers begin to step in and it begins to pop up underneath price action over there. That's what we're waiting for. Cool. Next, here we have Bitcoin coming into the 50 EMA. So yes, on the hourly, this is a little bit of a bounce zone, but I'm still trading with the ideal mindset of coming into that Monday low. I'm really hopeful of getting that because it gives us a trade strategy to work with. What I like about this as well, and this was the initial trade that we planned out up to here into the resistance, as I showed you yesterday, exactly into that resistance where we said you're most likely going to reject, and you have. So what I like about this is you have a trend line that's developing over here. So if you simply just take a look at this, you have the low, you have a higher low, and then the next major high low lines up with the previous month's low, the sweep of the Monday low, and at the same time, you have that trend line, which means it's a really nice area to take a trade. So if you do want to take that trade, make sure that you're spinning the wheel. What am I talking about? Spinning the wheel, right? I did speak with 𝗏𝗏𝗏, one of my friends that actually, is one of the business developers at 𝗏𝗏𝗏, and I arranged a special wheel for you guys. This is only for you guys, right? You won't get this anywhere else, which is why you'll notice on here, you also have whale room. So you can come and spin the wheel if you're trading on 𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is valid, by the way, for any of you that have a 𝗏𝗏𝗏 account using the link in the description. Come and spin this. We got as much as you can win one full Bitcoin, which is insane. You can win a free month in whale room. What is this one over here? $2 futures bonus. Of course, not going to change your life, but might buy you a coffee, right? Nice. You got 0.2 ETH. That's good. You got is that correct? 0.02 Sol, so also not that much. 0.3 SUI. We got 1.2 Zcash, and you only have how much? Is this like a pizza? 8 slices, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you only have a 1 in 8 chance, which is very low, right? What's that, like 12.5% chance of getting nothing? That means you have extremely high probabilities of winning something if you come and spin the wheel. So if you want to participate, I attached the link below. You will need a 𝗏𝗏𝗏 account if you don't already have one. Use that link, sign up over there. By the way, this also gets you into whale school. If you sign up to 𝗏𝗏𝗏, that is your pass to get into, it's your verification token, call it, to get into whale school using your user ID, and then you can come and spin the wheel as well. So yeah, have fun over there. Let's move on. Let's go into some of the altcoins. All right, what else have we got going on over here? So this is a bit of a resistance zone, which is good to see USDT dominance under that. This is more speaking for the weekly time frame, but still a lot of work to do for the bears to break this down. I guess the one bit of really good news is if you consider the high time frame trend for the USDT dominance, this has been putting in those lower highs. And maybe that's going to be another lower high. I guess a lot of invalidations need to come into the market on the long side if you do see closes above here. So we'll get a bit more of a picture forming on this, I think, I mean, we have to mathematically, this is going to reach its endpoints and we must get a resolution either up or down, I would say within this month, within November. And also, by the way, I wanted to mention that when it comes to November, we did also speak about, if you look back at the statistical data, a lot of the time, the low occurs within the first couple of days, right? Especially within this bull market. If you go back and you look within the opening of the month, you get a bit of a pullback and then you tend to set in the high of the month towards the end. So if that is going to be the case, I just want to be clear, if that is going to be the case, this may be the long opportunity, right? That if you didn't take any of the other ones that we did drop, of course, in 𝗬𝗲, and I'll go there to just show it to you again for anyone that did miss out. These were the trades, right? These were the trades over here. Let's just quickly go up. There we go. These were the trades. Even before that, we actually highlighted price coming down into those other levels. Let's have a look over here. There it was. Even before then, right? We can even go back even further over here. Even more. Here we go. Look at that. Where was price on Bitcoin? Price was at 102. We hadn't seen any of these levels tagged. Where was price over here on ETH? All the way up at 3,380. We hadn't tagged any of those levels yet. On Hype, all the way down there. And then you can, of course, start to fast forward. And what do we see, right? Tagged. So really, really good trade setups over there. Everything got tagged, came a little bit low, and Bitcoin hit the second target level. ETH came deeper into the first target level. And then what do we say? Well, after that, we said, in order for the bullish case to form in 𝗬𝗲, all updated for you guys, expect price to move up like this into that resistance zone at the top. And that's basically where we find ourselves now. We've seen that move play out in full, right? So there it is, tag the top resistance zone and pulling back. So we've been trying to update you every single step of the way, right? I don't want to beat the drum too much. I'm just trying to be clear so that everybody understands exactly, the way that we think, exactly the step-by-step process of how we plan things out. You can be medium time frame bearish, short-term bullish, or you could be short-term bearish looking for a pullback, but medium time frame you think price is going to go higher. And the only way that I can communicate this properly is by repeating and showing you backpedaling to show you the previous trades that we've dropped and set up over there in the Discord. Okay. Oh, by the way, I see you guys in the chat asking how to get in. There is a link over there for the Discord, but I would say that don't take any yearly membership if you do decide to join. There is going to be a massive promotion. I'm busy putting all the things together for you guys right now, dotting the I's and crossing the T's and getting everything ready so you guys get the best discount possible into Black Friday. So stay tuned for that. Alrighty, you can join the waiting list though. If you want to join the waiting list, just click that link. Then there'll be, you'll get first dibs, right? So click that over there. We'll open up the page and then join in on the waiting list. Okay, cool. Let's go into some of the altcoins. So what have we got? Starting off with Uniswap. So Uniswap had a fee switch. They say it's momentous, as you can see over here. For years, Uni token has been a valuation overhang for all of DeFi. Uniswap is the highest mindshare app in crypto and the clearest winner in DeFi history. And yet, because it didn't have this one single thing, there was never a reason for investors to get serious about it. Now it has that one thing, right? That's what they say. It has the one thing. But is it fake news? Is it fake news? Well, we longed it. We longed it over here in 𝗬𝗲. Christo Columbus, one of our coaches, beautiful trade entry all the way, literally at the Pico bottom over there, $5, longed it. TP1, 2 coming into resistance over there, right? So that's one of the coins that we probably have to look at. And let's do exactly that. I haven't pulled this chart up for very long. My suspicion is going to be that this chart looks like garbage. That is my suspicion. So I wouldn't get too excited just yet, but let's have a look. Where are we going to get some beautiful price history? Maybe on 𝗪𝗔 over here. So let's go back in time. We'll travel back in time. And I don't even think this is a good example because we're missing a lot of history over here. But nevertheless, there was your all-time high. And even to current levels, you are still down 80%. And there's also such a thing called an opportunity cost. For this to shift structure, you would at least want to see a breakout on a weekly level. And in order to get that, you got to cross above $12.36. Let's see where Chris is. Look at that. Chris's final TP into that zone, right? So he's also looking at the same thing, is a recovery and a break all above that entire level in order to get bullish. It's had a good move. If you traded it, great. Don't marry the bag. Trade it up to here. Take the profits. You know, if it rallies even higher and you're wrong, let's say you took your profits over here and you're wrong, well, what's the difference, right? So you take profits over there, you're wrong, smashes through. It's anyway going to come back to retest, sweep probably below where you exited, and then you have a great trade opportunity. So there we go. We got it over there, right? What else have we got? What else have we got over here? We also have a great trade over here on Trump, but I also believe this will be a short. You can flip short on that if you took that in the Discord. Let's go into some other altcoin requests. How's Link doing? Okay, not so great. You know, just chopping about, nothing special over there. It's just consolidating. Let's see, guys. Let me know in the comments over there what else you guys want to have a look at. Drop your requests and let's pull some of those up. Noldy wants LSK, Lisk. I mean, that coin must be absolutely dead. That was a 2017 coin. I don't even know if the token exists anymore. Let's have a look. Lisk. I cannot believe somebody requested Lisk. I thought that nobody knew what this was. Unreal. 90% move. Absolutely crazy. Again, I just want to give you perspective. You know, this is where you've come from. This is where you've come from, right? This was my, you know what we call it in crypto is your baptism in blood, your inauguration to the crypto market. Still down 96%. It went down as far as 98%. And believe it or not, this was one of my core holdings in 2017. I luckily exited. I think I made about 180% profit on this trade. And I luckily exited before it went down like this. But many were long-term hodlers. Look, there's nothing I can comment on this. It's random, right? It's absolutely random. When things pump like this, it's orchestrated. Maybe it's OGs trying to get out. You know, how are you even going to trade this? Like, where are you going to get your entry? What data were you looking at to get a trade that's in a straight downtrend and then in a single 4-hourly candle marks up like this? There's nothing you can do. If you're holding the token, great. Good time to take profits now. Instead of 99% down, you're only 98.5% down. So you gain back 0.05% of your profits. Okay. That's my thoughts on it. There's nothing you can do over here, guys. There's absolutely no trade. You know, how are you going to trade this? Like, what are you going to go on the 5-minute chart? You can't even trade this. The liquidity is so low. I bet you can't even trade this with $10,000. Like, maybe you can put $100 in. Okay, moving on. Anyways, what else have we got? I'm just telling you the truth, guys. I'm just telling you the truth. There's nothing I can do with this. Zcash. Yeah, let's have a look at Zcash because it's obviously putting in a bit of a pullback. And I do actually think that this is one that you got to really be careful with now, because now there's a chance that if you think of the psychology of the market, euphoria comes down, complacency bounce. There's a real chance that that's a complacency bounce now. And this could begin to distribute. So levels to watch for. I would say this is going to be very strong support all the way back down. Now we can adjust that fib as well and see how that lines up. So let's go from the origin of the move for like the more macro move over here. And your 0.618, your golden pocket, does come into very strong horizontal support. So this will be the most significant level, I think. If it full retraces all the way here, you'll probably put in a massive bounce off of there. Okay, so I'd be careful. That looks like a complacency bounce to me. Jupiter, sure, we can have a look at that. Jupiter USDT. Okay, let's see. Anything of interest? First, let's look at the dailies. There's nothing going on over here. You do have a range low that's developed around this 30-cent region. It's just chopping. It's got a lot of work to do. To get really bullish, it has to get above 65 cents. Okay, Sui, we can go to Sui. Here's Sui, still struggling, still chopping about. So guys, you might have noticed that I haven't really dedicated too much time in our YouTube videos on altcoins because this is the case for most of them. There's nothing going on. Any of the pumps that occur are totally random and the thing's just chopping about. Same thing for Sui. in order for the downtrend to break, it would have had to get above at least $2.40. And now this is possibly your next lower high where it's going to just mark down further. So be careful of that. Okay. What else? Filecoin. We can have a look at Filecoin. So this is going to be an example, Filecoin, which I think they did orchestrate a bit of a pump on, right? But there it is. That pump has been given up already. It's already coming down. So, you know, another liquidity grab straight into underside resistance, and you can just keep lowering these levels. So we can delete that. And again, let me remind you where it came from. This is just absolutely unbelievable. Look at that chart. And then you have things like this, you know, SanDisk, like actual file storage in the real world, not in the matrix, but in the real world. And look at these things. Look at these returns, right? Just $40 to 80 is already a 2x. And this thing, where to go, right? All the way to 260, 268. So there is a lot of opportunity out there, which we are trying to capitalize on as well by trading some of these more traditional stocks. Let's get back to our charts over here. Alrighty, let's have a look at Solana. Of course, one of the favorites. I told you yesterday, you know, this is possibly a dead cat bounce into resistance. That's your, theoretically, that's your short trade. I mean, a more optimal short trade would have been from 270, or excuse me, 175. But theoretically, you know, this is where your lower high could form, and it can get ugly very quickly, because if this does reject over here, this is going to be heavy for Solana as a breakdown. So your bullish case would be you would need to rally all the way up and recover, call that a deviation, and you got back into the trend. Alrighty. What else, guys? So Solana ready to go home. Well, yeah, if you want to call home about 110 in the short to medium term, that's home for Solana. That is your range low support. Okay, cool. Let's see, 𝗬𝗏, Injective. Okay, let's go to 𝗬𝗏. So try and have a look for things that are actually strong. And I think you'll really struggle to find things that are strong within the market. So 𝗬𝗏 did have a strong move, but this is range bound, or possibly even going through distribution over here, which does take time. I don't think that this is ready to just gear up for massive moves, in my opinion. I think that most likely this is going to be range bound with your range lows around like 35, 36 on 𝗬𝗏. That's not trending, in my opinion. Okay, cool. Let's go on a bit of a high time frame, and we'll have a look. I saw there's a request there for useless, and we'll have a look at that. Remember, this is one that we got in perfect timing, and we basically sold near the top on that. So I'm very happy to have taken profits on that. But yeah, still not good in my opinion. I still think that it can come all the way back down here. This is your range low. You want to see that level hold. We can go on a daily for a bit more data, but yeah, lower lows, lower highs. That's your next lower high. Okay, if you start to break below the yellow line, 11.3, so 11 cents around there, that's not going to be looking good. Cool. Alrighty. Alt to 0, says the guy Richard. They already went to 0, so maybe they go back again. From 0 to 1, back to 0, maybe. A lot of them actually went to 0, which is unbelievable, right? When you consider that in COVID, they didn't even get to 0 because they shut the exchanges off. This time, things actually went to 0, I guess, because there's, perpetual DEXs now, perpetual exchanges or DEXs that you can trade on, which they didn't shut down. Okay. Let's see, guys. Let's see. I'm just checking your comments over here, just scanning through everything. Alrighty. What's going on with Solana? Well, not much. I mean, Solana, it's just it's just another token, and these are the ebbs and flows of the markets. So what you really need to be focused on is going to be on this chart over here. This is the chart to focus on. But this is the futures chart. I said we need to go back to Bitcoin on the hourly. You might already be sweeping the Monday low. Let's actually go quickly have a look over there. I just need to find the right chart, guys. Sorry about that. I have quite a few charts over here. This is the one. There we go. Okay. So we're watching this chart very, very, very carefully over here. You are now exactly from that Monday low, and I mean, you could make it to the previous month's low, even that's still considered sweeping the Monday low. Following the Bitcoin chart will be your most important thing. That is 1.25% drawdown. Quick look at ETH. So for ETH, similar. Monday low, watch for the deviation. You do have, previous resistance, support, order block, drives price down, resistance, maybe you come back and you flip that into support as well, which coincides with the sweep of the Monday low. And then I don't really like this trend line, but you do have a bit of a trend line developing, which also lines up over there, right? I have a little bit of a trend line developing over there. So this would look something like this on ETH. If you get that move down, 3,443, look for the sweep, the recovery, and then that opens up the long trade. Bitcoin is the go-to. That's the most important thing to focus on right now. Okay, it's Bitcoin. Focus on Bitcoin. Breaking below the previous month's low is where your bullish case starts to fall to pieces, because at that point, and we'll move this up over here, at that point, your daily, so let's actually have a look at where that is relative to this. So 103,540, 103,540. Then you've taken out yesterday's low. If you start to get below the previous month's low on the low time frame, so you're monitoring that on like your hourly or your 15-minute, that gets you below yesterday's low. And if you close like that, then this starts to look like a major rejection with another lower high. And what do you do after that? Well, you follow the trend. After another lower high, you expect another lower low, right? Which means you could take out those lows. Again, I want to be clear. I'm not calling for that. I am not a fortune teller. I'm not a clairvoyant. I don't have crystal balls. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. All that I know is I want to assess what happens exactly there. And then I might try and take the long trade over there if it looks good, if it looks strong. If it doesn't look strong, I will not take the long trade. And then I will wait for price to maybe come back down here and see, maybe have a bit of a range low that develops. And if you can't do that, then I expect, yes, new lows. And then we'll take it one step at a time. Okay, it's always one step at a time. Today's step, sweep Monday low, look for the long trade. That is it. That is all you have to do. And then we see you again tomorrow. Okay. Crystal balls or diamond balls? I prefer to have both. Both of them at the same time. All right, guys, everything is there for you. You know exactly what to do. If you do appreciate the video, if you get any value from it, please do smash the like button. And I'll see you guys all on the next one tomorrow. Make sure you spin the wheel. Hope you guys win one full Bitcoin and a month in whale room. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day and cheers for now.